the Doc of Detox Network, and our Rethink Fit live talk show, where we're helping you to rethink fit so you too can love better how you think, how you feel, how you function, how you act, how you look, and how you dream. Why? Because being fit, it goes well beyond strength, endurance, and even appearance. It requires that we take action for our mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and functional selves too.
My name is Jeff.
And I'm Mindy.
And on every show, we're inviting on experts and innovators and athletes and models and people with lived experience and wisdom to share on the things that they discovered on what it means to truly be fit. This show is live. It's live on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and Telegram. So our hope is that you engage.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation, share your comments, the things that are on your mind, and any questions that you might have. A highlight of this show is that at the end, every expert issues an action step, a call to action, something that you can do to propel you on your journey of self-growth, self-love, and transformation.
We call it a gamified adventure. And that's because you get to pick and select which action steps you want to take so as to help yourself become more healthful, confident, and happy.
Yeah, and why? And what's the benefit to you? You can win prizes. You can actually win the opportunity to come onto this very show. You can win the opportunity to be embedded in some of the courses, the retreats, the events, or even the book series that we have.
So what we ask is, if the show inspired you in any way to take new action for yourself, we ask that you document that. So you share your story. You let us know about any notable gains, breakthroughs, transformations, and triumphs and ahas that you have had. And when you do, in addition to it being, of course, a benefit to you, it's also a benefit to the expert who issued the action step, because by you sharing your testimony about them, it helps elevate their brand, and then they can go on to inspire even more people.
Yeah, you can even take it one step further. You can come right down here to Estampa, Mexico, and join us and Dr. Darryl Wolf and create your perfect day. Take some of the courses, the workshops, the retreats, and just come here for some healing.
And fun.
And fun. So remember, the action steps are issued at the end of the show. So stay right through and ask your questions along the way. We are live on so many different platforms, and this is the opportunity for us to inspire you, you to inspire us, and collectively to go out and inspire the world. All you brave hearts out there, welcome to the Rethink Fitness show. My name is Jeff, as you've already heard.
And I'm Mindy.
Today we've got a really special guest with us. Ian Walling, who was a world-renowned bodybuilding champion, and we're going to talk a little bit about his journey, where it all started, and where he is today. But you know, as we start the show, one of the key things that we really want to put out there is, you know, the fitness industry is broken. It's not just that it broke now. It's been broken for a really, really long time. We've been in the fitness industry for about 25 years, helping to promote what it means to actually be fit and how to transform. Even before that, it was broken. When I first started learning about the fitness industry, it was broken. So we're going to talk about what are the things that we are putting out there to help create change. And that's why we have Ian Walling with us on the show today.
Before we get to Ian, you're mentioning that it's broken. I'm not sure if everyone would know what that means. Do you have any examples of that?
You know, most people think fitness, just the word fitness already creates an image in someone's mind of what that means. And most people think that's just going to the gym and it's the few hours that you're pumping weights and how much are you benching and how much are you squatting and what are you doing? It's not about that. It is to a degree. But it's so much more than that. It's much more than just strength and appearance. What we have learned by connecting with, I think, hundreds of thousands of people around the world, going all over the place, seeing people who are in the world of fitness, thinking that it's all about wellness.
Yep.
It really isn't. You know, being fit really has to do with the mental, the emotional, the social, the spiritual, the functional health. even that last part, the functional health, regular fitness and just going to work on the gym is so far removed from functional health and nutrition as possible. So that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to help redefine the way people look at what it means to be fit, what fitness really means to them, so that we can expand that knowledge base and that we can connect with the right community of people who can collectively take that message and share it with the world. I truly believe people who are into fitness and who look like those role models of ideal superheroes. Awesome. You've created a body. Now let's look at the internal. Let's see what else can be created, and let's take that message and inspire other people.
Yeah, so basically the fitness industry, or one area where the fitness industry is broken, is that people within fitness think that they're going to the gym or working out to achieve a certain look or a certain transformation, and they're using their physical body as the measure of their fitness. But that's not where fitness starts and where it has delay. It's within. It starts with self-love, it's self-healing, and it's personal growth. And that's part of fitness. And that aspect of it is what's missing from the fitness industry. Nobody seemed to notice it. We didn't notice it until we were watching it play out on our stages and on the magazines and in TV shows. We saw it. Who were becoming the role models and the superstars, but who hadn't yet achieved what it meant to be that from within. And so that's one area that we're going to be speaking about with our very special guest, Ian Wallace.
So just before Ian comes on, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, and I think there may be even more platforms. So if you're on this show's for you. Ask your questions, engage with us. Let us know what you're thinking about what we're saying. If you think we're crazy, let us know. If you believe what we're saying, let us know. If you have a question for Ian when he comes on, write it in the comments. Yeah. We will do our best to be able to answer you. So without any further ado, we'd like to welcome Ian. Come on, Ian.
Hi, guys, and thank you for that introduction. And just to add to that, Jeff, I don't like to say the word broken. I just think that we just didn't have all the information, or we're not complete yet, because fitness has to be on something that we have to observe on all three levels, right? It is not just physical, because I mean, as I said, I was in the industry for over 35 years, and all the way along, I kept seeing evidence that something was missing. And I won a bunch of trophies and awards and did a bunch of things and trained a lot of people. And I did to the best of my ability. I passionately wanted to help them become the best version of themselves. And in doing so, I basically became a product, lead by example. And so their journey was my journey, right? And all the way along the way, it's like, okay, fantastic. It's like, great. But then I kept seeing evidence that, we're in an industry where we're being judged, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's the other judge that surfaces when it all becomes about the external, right? And you validate yourself from the outside in, right? You never feel comfortable in your skin. Like even though I was fit, I had some, I had a hard time even wearing tank tops on the beach sometimes because I wasn't at competition level. I wasn't perfect in my mind, according to a judge's conversation, right? And I even created I wrote a book basically about posing to perfection, the art of fitness, and it troubled me. I never published it because it seemed from the outside, from the title of the book, it seemed about the outside, but it was about the inside structures of balance and stability and functionality of the body, right? And because I created it, because a judge sees, you're three-dimensional, you're not just, you're spherical, not linear, but a judge sees in a linear perspective. They see your outer contours, right? And so the book was about how to balance the body on this grid system. And when you're balancing the body, to the judge, you appear to be perfect, okay? Even though there were some imperfections, height-weight ratio, right? And it's not only having that perfect structure standing from your feet, your hips, your knees, your shoulders, your head balanced, right? But it's how they make that structure move. And then it became about your silhouette, and it became about your outer contours, the energetic aspect, the muscles that made your body move, right? The kinetic chain, which I call the stick man. I'll tell you later on. But it was about the movement of the body, right? And, you know, it was great. Right? And again, I was teaching and seeing examples, and then I backed off from the industry because I just didn't think that the message I was coming across was the right one. And so I opened up a gym called Holistic with a W, bodybuilding hyphen bodybuilding, because I believe that everybody's building their body, right? And so it was about a holistic concept. But this journey took me to 2019. I closed my gym, and I said I pivoted. What I thought was, because I was going through an injury, right? I felt I was broken. And for somebody that was about balance and to not be able to lead by example, it troubled me. So I shifted into life coaching. I became a certified life coach. And in 2019, I stumbled into this material. I was in, basically, it was in a company called Diamond Academy, and they introduced me to the material of Proctor Gallagher Institute, right? And the material changed my life. I now saw my life less of a pivot and more of a process. And I started looking back, and I noticed that even on the physical plane, I felt I was broken, and I thought it felt like I'd lost my breath. It felt like I couldn't breathe anymore, and my body started breaking down. And then through getting tons and tons of physical therapy, right, through not just the normal conventional methods, but through Thai massage, acupuncture, energy healing, right? I started following the energy, and I realized that kinetic chain, the stick man, was broken, right? And I just couldn't reconnect it. And my journey into the mindset conversation made me understand that, wow, right? Because I basically, our concept of mind muscle connection, and now my concept of what mind is completely different, right? And so as somebody who felt that I was in an industry where I mastered, I was a master trainer, I was an elite trainer, I trained lots of people, right? Because I had mastered my physical construct. And to know that literally we're sitting on the back of a giant, we understand what mind is, right? And the reason why I kind of mentioned the stick man, and it's not it's to simplify things, because in PGI, Bob Proctor, who's one of the leading thought leaders in the world, he was in a movie called The Secret. He was shown by a person named Leland Vanderbilt, right? His example of what mind is by showing him a picture of what's called a stick man, right? From Dr. Thurman Fleet in 1934. And basically he just showed the mind. And what he showed was a circle, a big circle and a small circle, and a line between it. And he used this to make you understand or show or create the picture of mind, right? Because most people don't know what does the mind look like, right? Most people draw the picture in their head of the brain, and it's not the brain, right? Your mind is no more your brain than your elbow is, right? Your mind is not even a physical thing. It's in every cell of your body, but it's not even in your body, right? It's basically the non-physical aspect of you. So when you see this picture of understanding what mind is, like your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and your body, right? As the energy comes into your conscious mind, where you think, where your free will lies, your conscious mind, where your free will lies, your ability to accept or reject information, right? And in your subconscious mind is where you're basically where your emotions and your paradigms and your self-living beliefs live. And then your body in motion, right? So your emotions. So basically what happens is now my view, my picture in my head of what mind is, right, is how I think, how I feel, and how I act. Okay. Now this changed my perspective. Again, mind muscle connection, right? Mind is something so much bigger. And why I mentioned the stick mat is because I needed a visual. I needed a visual to see that, like a pair of scissors, how my body broke down, right? How you basically the energetic aspect of your body, right? How your body moves is the most important thing. So physically, movement is a key. Movement is mind. Movement is energy. Movement is where you follow your breath from your nose to your toes, right? So there's a physical aspect of your body, which is so important, the energetic aspect of your body. And then there's your mind, right? And so when we're looking at the elements that we've actually used to build our bodies, we visioned the physical construct and we visualized our bodies and we showed up on an event and we tried very hard. We created this amazing physique, but that same tool that you're using, you could use to do so much more. So this was my feeling that we could do so much more, and it should be more of an education as just an external conversation about how I'm looking. Yeah, you're gonna say something, Jeff?
Yeah, and I want to get into all these things that you're talking about. Just for the people listening out there, just so that they have some perspective. You're talking about when you competed as an athlete. So let's just go back and wind there.
Okay.
Who is Ian Wallen?
Yeah. So everyone is
Ian Wallen. Okay.
Okay. What Mindy and I had done is we had really helped to launch and pioneer the natural bodybuilding movement. And Ian Walling was actually the first athlete who registered to participate, to compete in the first ever natural bodybuilding event that was held in Canada. And what does that mean, compete? It means that people stepped up on the stage, Ian did, among a number of other people who also collectively decided that they're going to enter this competition, who decided to visualize, even though they may not have understood that concept, and built their body, saying, well, I need some more biceps here, and I need some more work on my chest here, and got their body.
Well, they actually did a really good job, like putting their body into balance and symmetrical proportions, right, so that it's a lot of training that goes into it.
Oh yeah, a tremendous amount. Yeah, I don't mean to dismiss any of that. So athletes trained and people trained to be able to step up on that stage and compete on that stage for their title, for their championship, for their trophy, for their acknowledgement, or the ones who did it just for themselves, for them to see that they can achieve something that may have been impossible the first time they thought about it. Mm. What's interesting in that time period is it's about competition. So when Ian was talking about, he stepped up on the stage. Yeah, and so for all of you watching this, so the athletes who stepped up on the stage, Ian has stepped up on the stage, he's got to showcase his body. You got to show as much body as possible. So Ian is only wearing what's called posing trunks, which is like the teeniest underwear. So even athletes who got their bodies into shape had to still get over that mental aspect of stepping up onto the stage in underwear. You know,
it wasn't easy.
In front of people, in front of cameras, TV.
Even for TV.
So once we get past that aspect, and Ian did amazing. Ian was a world champion, and world champion means like all over the world, everywhere where he went, multi-time. And Ian inspired people. It was Ian's image that was on the posters and on the TV shows and in the magazines, and inspired people to do it. Here's the key thing, though, that we realized after.
Take it away, Jen.
Take it away.
Go for it, though.
Was that competition, comparing oneself against somebody else, has a tremendous mental and emotional aspect to it. Yeah. Not just competition on one's body.
Yeah.
And I'll even go further, because as you know, Ian, I was like head judge for a lot of these events. which meant that even if you got your body trained perfectly, you did the diet, you did all the things, you prepared yourself mentally, you showed up on that stage. If one of two things, if the guy standing next to you or the girl standing next to you was more conditioned, was not your fault. They just were more conditioned.
And more balanced. Yeah.
Right? The second aspect is, well, what if you didn't do well because you didn't present yourself? You didn't do the poses the right way. You weren't standing in the light the right way. You messed up on some of the tanning products or oil or whatever you put on yourself to be able to get yourself that way. Hey, Joanne, I see you logged in from South Africa. Joanne organized all the events down in South Africa when we ran them. So awesome to have you here. So what I was getting to is that mental and emotional aspect of number one, if you didn't do as well as you intended to because the guy beside you was better, in better condition, or everything equal, if you didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve, you were still had your body compared against somebody else, and that's what you need to go backstage with or go back home with. So how is that for you? Like, how did you deal with that?
Good question.
Yeah, exactly. It was tough because in fact, I not only saw it in myself because I was very shy and I had to use a lot of mental prepping to project myself onto the stage because it's not even in my character. And yeah, you're right. You're basically almost naked on stage, and there's a lot going on inside your head, right? And especially in my clients, I saw clients completely spend months and months and months to get ready for a show, and on the day of the show, not show up because someone said 2 words to them. I've seen people at the show, months and months and months of training, right? At the show, in the morning show, there's one particular guy, you might remember him, but he would show up the morning show and he would never show up at night. Why? Because he would sit there and he would look around and he would compare himself about the physical bodies. Somebody may have a bigger arm than him, somebody have a bigger leg, whatever it was going on in his head, but he would project something that would scare him. And don't these shows were not usually next door. These are usually in Hamilton or Kitchener. Although this person would have driven there, right, and left because that there was something going on in his psyche that couldn't let him come back, right? And so the one thing about being judged is you need to handle not the judge that you see in front of you, but the judge that goes on inside of you, right? Our thoughts are I said we don't. That's one of the things where you might have felt that the industry was it didn't have our back because there was no one to navigate those conversations and how you were to handle it. Not to mention what drove you to compete. You were too fat. You were too short. You were too skinny. You were bullied. You were. You didn't have any validation of belonging, right? You had. You felt that you felt that you've now found your family, your peeps, right? And this is where I'm going to live now, right? And now you're here. It didn't solve the solution, did not solve the problem. You came there for a goal. You went through a process, but what you didn't do is change who you were. You didn't change your identity, right? And so those that came in overweight, right? And those that came in too skinny, too small, right? They went in. If we didn't change who they were, if we didn't have a conversation with their identity, right? Then it only lasted till the event. It only lasted till the show. It only lasted till the bar mitzvah. It only lasted to the holiday you were ready to go on, right? And then everything flipped back. Now, there are some people that stuck to it. But now here's the problem, because the identity we created around the personality we were on stage, I suffered that too. The person I was the bodybuilder. I was that. That's my dad used to refer me as, right? Now, when I'm no longer the bodybuilder, then who am I? I was 35 years in the industry. Now, who am I? Right? Do I have self-worth now? Right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. That was a key thing. If we didn't change our identity first and understand that you're always under creation. You are a creator. You're always transforming and becoming the best version of yourself. I am that you are, becoming the best version of yourself. That change, all this was part of your process, right? All this was I'm speaking from me, for me, right? Like when I am not that guy anymore, right? And I kept saying that all the way along. It's like, I'm not that guy. This is who I am. This is who I am. This is my growth, right? And now it's like, so that is one of the key things. Like I said, I train people for the objective, for the outcome. And I was their process, right? I trained them. I told them what to do to get to where they wanted to go to become the best version of themselves, right? But the thing was, it's an inside job. Not from outside. When everything from the outside in, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Mindy, you had something that I saw you wanted to add.
Did you?
Yeah, I did see that.
I can, sure. I have a question for you. So what was your driving force when you first went in to be a bodybuilder? Not that you were a bodybuilder, but what drove you to the gym? What drove you to do that? And then what or when did it shift in your mindset to do something different? And who would be the identity that you said would step on the stage to perform?
1 second before you add.
That's a whole bunch of
that we are live on YouTube and Facebook and Rumble and Telegram. So if you have questions for Ian or for us, let us know. Ian, go for it.
Okay, I'll start with what got me there is pure fright, right? When I remember getting out of school and I didn't really, do a lot of studying in school. I wasn't the greatest student, but I kind of dragged my beliefs from growing up. In my head, there were my counselors, there were my parent, there were my peers, there were people that created my identity of not really a lot of worth, right? And, not smart enough, not good enough. And when I got out of school, I read something that was said that you were born, you get depleted of nutrients every single day of your life. In my head, that sounded like we're born dying. I got to figure this out. I started doing so much research to understand about how to nurture my body so that this would not happen to me. And in the process, right, I was also an artist, and I had like everybody else, we had our collection of muscle magazines from Robert Kennedy, and I started drawing pictures from my magazine. And what I saw in the magazine was muscle in motion. I saw those beautiful lines. I saw art. I saw movement, and I fell in love with it. And I started drawing it. And then I started going, wow, now I understand. I basically would draw, and as an artist, you have to know human anatomy, right? And so now knowing how the body comes together, I started applying it to myself, and I started going to the gym and working out for my construct, and my body started changing. And then people started asking me what I'm doing, and then they started asking me to help them. And then it rolled, and I was like, okay. And basically it was about my self-development. I was always trying to be better and understand my body and understand everything, and leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. So my heart was into it. This was, I thought, was my passion, right? Because I found my self-worth. I found I can help a lot of people by following my vision of the human anatomy, muscle in motion. As I said earlier, I created a book that was designed to help people on stage, because I noticed when people were on stage balanced, although the body was three-dimensional and spherical, the judge only saw in that 2 dimensions. So when 2 people were on stage, if one person was off the line, that person that was on the line would look larger because the judge sees in height weight ratio, right? And that's why a lot of the taller bodybuilders weren't winning shows, because they were too tall. That's why we created the fitness model, right? Muscle model, right? And now it blew up, right? And again, but no matter what it was, from muscle model to figure to fitness, it was all about balance, because the judge only sees this way. And so on the day of the event, everybody put their all into the event. But then in the events, your time on stage started becoming less and less. So for all those months and months to prepare, we went from 2 minutes, 3 minutes posing routines on stage to a minute. Now it's like 10 seconds, right? And so the energetic aspect, the movement, not just the big mass of body, right? But how the body moved, right, was kicked to the curb. So it became about the mass and not the movement. And I think they created a new category called the classic physique, because they found the bodies weren't moving and flowing the same, right? And all it is that the balance, like any of those bodybuilders from the past, you can put them on a beam 10 feet off the floor and make them do the routine. They could do it. It was about balance. And with that said, when you have an object that's standing there, the hardest thing to do is to make that body move, right? So the kinetic chain was the most important thing, right? And so there were people that would prepare for shows, but then after the show, they couldn't even touch their toes, right? They couldn't move. They couldn't sit cross-legged. My arms would never, ever touch the back, right? Like you can, but it wasn't important. And again, like I used to hate doing sit-ups because they used to hurt my back. But listen to what I said. I hate doing sit-ups because I hurt my back, right? I didn't solve the problem. I didn't fix it. I didn't know that at this point, at this juncture, I need to fix it. Instead of what we're in the industry, what we were taught was, right, to keep a stiff upper lip, push through, wrap up your knees, wrap up your put your belt on tighter, right? No. So a lot of the bodybuilders, right? My problem was my pelvis, they call it lower cross syndrome. My pelvis tipped, just tipped, that's it, right? And somebody along the line, someone mentioned it to me and said, this is Jeff's lower cross syndrome. And I'm looking at the cross section, and I'm going, oh my God, this is half of the industry. This is the way we look, right? We got to fix this. And so that's simple. It's like if you had a table and just shave 2 inches off one leg, right? And see how eating is. Not that fun, right? When your body's off balance, it's always going to be extra work. And so when we're moving an object vertically, we're only vertical. We're only like that on the day of the event. We're only perfect on the day of the event in most cases. You see what I'm saying? So it was always about the event and not about the sustainability of that. So what I found was that because I felt when my pelvis tilted, I lost my breath. I felt that my only goal now was to find my breath back, to reconnect that chain. So it was more important for me to find about my breath than reps and sets. That's what was so important for me now. And in the course of doing that, and the next level of me, because I felt that I had fallen from grace, so to speak, is to keep learning. And then the understanding what mine was my next stage. And now it's like I'm looking back going, this is something that my life has so changed because of this understanding that this should be part of it. I mean, as fitness experts, should we not have the blueprint? Should we not have the whole blueprint? You're not,
Yeah.
you're not just physical, right? You have 3 layers and there's no seams. You don't even know it. I did a program for Canadian Shopping Network, and it was called Mind, Body, Spirit. And on the day of the event, we took out the word spirit. So it was mind and body. So that was woo-woo. So, so it was like, don't talk about it, right? And when you talk about physical performance, and that's what separates one person from the next person, physical performance is 10% physical, 90% mental. The largest part of you is not even in you. The largest part of you is the woo-woo.
Yeah.
So it's so much more, right? And so now I'm looking back and going, yes, everything we're doing is fine, but we can't just know this. We have to know all the parts, or else we're bouncing out against each other, right? When we create those little, when we're training and pushing ourselves, the words we're using sometimes aren't that nice, right?
I want to come right back to that in a moment, because we had a conversation about that last week. Mindy and I, the reason we're down here, one of the reasons we're down here in Ixtapa, Mexico, working with Dr. Darren Wolf, is to be able to deliver back out to the fitness industry that you don't have to be in pain. You don't have to have, that image that you just gave me of, I can remember it in the gym, people doing their squats and their bench press and putting on their belt so tight that they couldn't even breathe, so that they could do this movement so it won't hurt them, when they finish the movement. So crazy. And, that's why we're here, so that we can be able to let people know that there's number one, more to this than just the physical. And the physical can be healed if you just know the blueprint, if you just have the roadmap to it. Something that there's a couple things that you touched on, but something at the beginning. Remember, Mindy, at every competition, so when we would have these events, on like the Friday night was registration. And oftentimes we would double the number of people competing because everyone registered in the last minute.
Yeah.
And we would incentivize people as much as we could.
Didn't matter.
Here's your early bird rate, which was like, I don't know, a third of what the actual cost would be for them to compete later, and tell them, register today, set your goal, visualize what you want to look like, and get there.
You'll be in the show program.
We'll interview you on TV. We'll cover your story. It didn't matter. They waited until they, in their mind, decided that they were good enough, or not even that far. They didn't know how to find.
Right.
They allowed their personal trainer, their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, friend, father, whatever it was, to say, you look good enough. Yeah. Now,
after training for months.
So the ridiculousness of that is that we would see the numbers of athletes double the day before the show. And then we would see after that, we'd find out from people who never made it to register because of thoughts and what they were told in their mind. And that is tremendous. Those are all the people that we never heard of, didn't hear from, who then were left alone to deal with the mental and the emotional and everything else on their own with that. So that was a huge thing. One, it was crazy for us, but on that other side, because we didn't expect it. I remember at one event, I think we had like 400 new people who registered like just the day before. All those people waited for that last minute for somebody else outside of them to make a decision for them on what they look like after what you said, Mindy, after they spend months and months on getting ready for that.
They already transformed into what would look like a superhero or a bodybuilder. They already did the work, but now because they had to compare their body against another body, that's when it didn't fit well.
Yeah. Kenneth, I see here online, had the same thing, living through other people's eyes. And that's, someone who prepared themselves to whatever mental ability they could and emotional ability they could, and manage their diet and their training all that way to just have it stopped because somebody else said to them, hey, look as good as you should have, or you're not going to win. So that's crazy.
The missing ingredient there, self-love.
Self-love. You know, they didn't have. So any of you who are watching, we're live on YouTube and Facebook and Rumble and Telegram. So if you have questions, put them in. Something that you were saying, Ian, just reminded me of a conversation we had last week when we were chatting. Ooh. And so you take everything and you say, okay, it's energy, it's vibration. That's how you're building what you're building. You're an artist still, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to build my muscles, etc. And we'll go into the gym. And what are some of the comments that people have going into the gym? I'm going to take it out on the weights. I'm going to push through it. I'm going to beat up the weights and get it out. So
it's not usually like that, Jeff. What it is like, as I said, that most people, if you walk in the gym with me and you think that there are, you know, unicorns and rainbows in my head, I had to formulate such evil thoughts in order to move large objects, right? And that would be, you know, someone taking my mother, my family attack. You know, I was like, the weights became things. I was moving objects. The problem with that, right? The problem with the you know, creating the alligators and the crocodiles and everybody, you know, is that same analogy. You're looking behind you. Your fear is like you don't understand that thoughts are things. This will eventually in the future become stuff inside your body, whether you believe this or not. Okay. Now, I'm going to throw you forward to a better way of looking at that, right? And this way of looking at that same situation was about following a vision, following what's in front of you, projecting a vision and showing up. This is the same tool that high achievers use, right? This is the same tool about manifestation. This is the same tool that mind is. So instead of you always looking behind you and creating these big scary images, right, to order for you to help something, to lift something or move something, right? It's using your imagination and putting you in the future, because that's how our brains are wired. Our brains are wired to go to the familiar past or the predictable future. You're never not like that. You're never still. You're never, you know, at that place of complete calm. But in that place of complete calm, you can have your visions. If you stay in this groundhog cycle of thinking, right, you will always, like those mental triggers, those mental constructs that thoughts of things, they'll show up later in life, right? When you're lifting this truck with a massive, all your strength, and then later on, one day you're dealing with your kids and dealing with your family, right? And you get angry and you don't know that there's a switch. There's no, well, I'm going to set this at 2%. There's no such thing, right? When it's a trigger, you know, when you push the button on your computer to turn it on, when you push the button of your program, it runs, right? Whether you know it or not, it runs. And what happens is these big scary monsters that we created are anchors to your past experiences. And that day that you lifted that truck or whatever, take it back a little further. Take it back a little further when you're younger, and someone shamed you, blamed you, scared you, hurt you. I bet it pretty well that's the real trigger, right? That's the real hurt that you felt, right? So are you doing good there, right? Or are you unpacking your stuff? You got to unpack your stuff or you'll carry it through life. It's what they call that kink in the hose. You know, when you're trying to water your line and your daughter steps on the line, it's the same thing, right? You don't have that power to do beautiful things in life. You are a creator. You're designed to go forward. You're not designed to stay still. You're not designed to stay still, or you're not designed to disintegrate, to go backwards, right? We are here. And that's why when you're When you're projecting your vision of yourself, it's a forward conversation. Mind is movement. It's in a direction forward, right? So
Yeah. I like what you were saying about using your imagination instead of your anger or your aggression, because when you use your imagination, you're also choosing your emotions. And like you said, like emotions, that's energy in motion, and that's what's going through your body. So imagine how much more beneficial that is for you, both in the gym and on stage and in life. Like that's the proper thing to choose. So from going from the aggression standpoint of getting it out and using that to fuel you, you were also putting it into your body, but using your imagination on something that feels good, that's completely different. That's a game changer, and that's part of self-love and self-healing.
Yeah, I mean, we just came out of. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to put that comment in a different perspective, right? Because we were talking about being judged. If you're wired from the outside in, if you're wired to react to a judge or external environment, what's going on around you, the TV, that person, what's going on in your life, you're always going to be wired that way. That's reacting. What you're talking about, Mindy, is responding, is making the decision to follow that. That's my cat. To follow a vision that you've created and follow it with your imagination, your intuition, your will to push forward, your reasoning, which is your decision to focus this way, right? And your memory. These are called your higher faculties, right? So it's a tool that it's like using your computer as a typewriter, right? We have the elements that are so powerful. Your imagination is your most powerful tool. And what happens as we get older, when we're kids, when we're daydreaming, and they tell you to get your head out of the clouds, wake up, get back into reality. Stop playing around, right? And we're conditioned to push our imagination down. One of the things I've found, not to change the subject, is that a lot of my clients, I would ask them, "What's your passion?" Right? Like, what's your passion in life? No clue. Right? I give them a wish list. If money and everything was not in your way, what would your life look like? It would take them so long to create a wish list because we stopped a long time ago. We stopped imagining, right? So what you're saying, Mindy, yes, your imagination is a massive tool, but you can use it for a lot of really cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
it's choice.
Yeah, it's choice. We actually just came out of a talk this morning with from Dr. Darrell Wolf, in the whole life coach program, and we were talking specifically about this.
It's true.
And actually, someone who just asked a question, Lori, you said that it's hard to get to that complete calm and how to stay there, and it's not. You're saying it's not easy. Well, it is if you get yourself into the moment. It's getting into that loving, eternal, ever-present moment and just being focused there. That allows you to calm yourself. That allows you to be able to connect to your breath, connect to who you are. And these things start to change because your imagination, you have the choice to pick what the movie's going to be, right? It's just
to imagine.
It's right. It's your movie. You're in addition to being the actor, you're the writer, you're the director, you're the everything.
The problem with that is that we have a bunch of habits that are sitting in the background that you don't even realize. Remember, you're 10% conscious, right? 90% of the things you did, you have 70,000 thoughts a day, right? And 90% of them you thought yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before that, right? If you were to make a list, which is what one of my action things is, make a list of some of the things that you do habitually, because you don't even remember, you don't even realize it. Sometimes you even get to work and you don't even remember driving there, right?
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's for safety. If you didn't have that triggering system to create those habits, You had to learn to tie your shoes every day. You had to learn to relearn to brush your teeth every day, right? It's a good thing, but you are 90% programmed. And so the voices that you are going in the background, remember, a lot of them were in you between the time you were born and you were 7 years old, right? Yeah. You were born genius. You were born a linguistic genius. You could take a child from here and move it to Beijing, and that child can learn 3 different languages and have no clue how to speak English. See, what happens is we have the analyzer, the chitter chatter in part of your brain doesn't develop until after age 7. So before that, everything is going in you. Your aunts, your uncles, your sisters, your brothers, all that conversation is inside of you. The language you speak, everything is inside of you. All the astrological signs, right? They're inside of you. Everything that was in that was in your environment from the time you're born to 7 is inside of you. Then after age 7, we have to repeat. Okay? So it's all in us, and all the program is in us. You didn't know. Okay. Right? Now you know. Now you know. If you know what you know, then now you can do something about it. Now you know. Yeah. So in your conversation about trying to find that peace, to find that center, right? Just understand that you are designed to always think about your familiar situation or your predictable future. So you are living past, present, past. You're not in your future. The only way in your future is in your imagination. And you have to center yourself first. Think of meditation like a chalkboard, right? It's got all the scribbles on it. Every time you meditate, just clear the chalkboard and just be centered. Now, don't get me wrong. It's literally impossible for you to actually be still. Even when you're still, you're not being still, because all your cells are still moving, your heart's still pumping, right? The blood is still circulating through your body. Your body is never still. Remember, you are motion, you are mind, you're moving all the time. But what it is that you're understanding, you're starting to look at the things that you were not consciously aware of. This is what it's called to be awakened, because you're asleep, because your program is running you. Remember I said earlier, when you push the button on your computer and your program turns on? Yeah. Your automatic program turns on. If it didn't, you'd bump into the wall when you got up in the morning. Yeah. Right? So now you're just changing the being consciously aware of stuff. And now you're starting to look through and go, oh, I want to change that. I want to move that. I want to adjust that. Right. And now you can spend more time, because every time you do that, if you're in doubt and worry, okay, this is a real cool point. If you're in doubt and worry and fear, are they high vibrations or low vibrations?
They're low.
So low vibrations bring your torus field in. So you are now becoming more matter than energy. And once you do that, you might as well start looking at ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Why does everything feel so heavy and stressful, and it's getting so older, and this is happening? I'm like, okay, you're more energy than matter. Once you find that center and you start looking for evidence, this is because you're looking for evidence in your historical documents. If you're looking for evidence in your future and think of it as a blank, beautiful canvas, you're going to go there more often. You're going to go there and you're going to start to put your heart into it, and you're going to put your heart in your mind, and your mind in your heart. You're going to open up from the inside, and you're going to basically have that vision so clear, right? You're always going to look for evidence in your future vision. The reason why you can't have clarity is that you're wired to safety. You're wired in this nice little brick house you built, right? But the thing is, that's what I was saying, the only way out of this house is to find the nucleus, which is who you are. You have to change who you are, not necessarily who you are, but how you see yourself. Yes. You have to change yourself, your vision of yourself at the highest version of yourself. You have to envision what it would be like for you with all your wishes fulfilled. That's your imagination. It's a really cool place to hang out all the time when you have a cool place to hang out all the time. And then you'll find some serious clarity. you will start to spend more time. I spend so much time there. It's crazy. Do you understand? And then what happens is all that bad stuff moves away. Then you will start getting clarity, and it'll become easier and easier. I hope I answered that question.
You manifest what you want also when you do that. When you know what it is, that's the whole purpose of vision boards, ideal life articles, all of that. It actually works because you're imagining what you want. And now you're, like you said, you're looking for clues, but you're also attracting the clues to you, and you actually achieve and get what it is that you were seeking.
Yeah, you
desired.
You get to step into, right?
It is a tool. It is a tool, but it's not all the tools. One, you have to first have the vision. You have to have the vision of who you are being. Next, you have to train your body what it's going to feel like. Because remember, your body in motion, your body is an instrument of your mind, right? If I can do vision boards and sticky notes and yeah, rah in my head, my conscious mind, my thinker here, right? If it's in my conscious mind, it can sit there forever. It's like if I told you tomorrow, Jeff, we're going to go tightrope walking, right? It's like, whoa, we talked about this for months, and now it's real now. Now it's in your emotional mind. Whoa, now this feels different. Feeling is the key. So you don't even have to just put the picture in your head of the vision of what you want, but you have to train your body. You have to emotionalize it. Feeling is the key.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that majority of the people spend maybe 98% of their time completely unconscious, completely in the programs. As we were talking about, the programs are not just the programs that were shared with them. It's the programs that the person who's sharing with them are running also.
Mm-hmm.
Get that? It's not, and your mind is just simply, your brain is just simply releasing chemicals and is really a storage shed to create these things to happen quicker, right? It's all just to conserve energy. It's all for your benefit. So that's why these programs have been installed. But the installation of those programs occurred when you were so young, and that's what's repeating again and again and again. You're a child in an adult body, and you're a child acting out the emotions, the feelings, the thoughts, everything that the people around you were sharing with you. They were doing it out of love. They didn't know any better.
Nobody knows the program.
Nobody knows.
You decide to actually check in.
Right, and until you actually decide that you're going to do something like that. And what Mindy was saying, and check in and be able to pause, be able to, you have a very small window, about 200 milliseconds to be able to change that thought. But every thought in every moment is yours to what to do.
The first step is being aware. But when you are aware of what you're aware of, know thyself. You have to look at yourself with curiosity. It's interesting why I acted that way. It's interesting what that triggered me. Oh my God, I never notice that. Where that came from. So now you're looking at yourself in a different perspective, right? You're using the laws of the universe, right? The laws of relativity, right? Where it's like you're going to change your perspective on your view on this situation. And now, right, you have that, like the quote that I love is the wound is where the light enters you. Wow. So if you go back to that wound and you go, in grade 3, they made fun of me. They did this. It's like, people who hurt. Like back when we were kids, I was born in 62, scary stuff. But when we grew a really thick skin. If you had a quirk, that was your nickname, right? If you did something dumb, right, that was your name forever, right? Wow. And we listened to all these voices in our head, right? We didn't have the internet back then. But as I said, if someone had a problem with you, they're going to say it to your face, right? And embarrass you right there where you are in public in front of people, right? And so all this stuff is in you, right? The
It's
blame,
what you're
shame,
thinking.
all that stuff. That's what you're, yeah, exactly, right?
You
Even
got-
you dropping your ice cream cone and feeling a certain way, like that's the same way you act when someone takes something away from you, right? So
Yeah.
it's our programming, and it's like, so all of that is who you are being. Is all of that is to understand that you're born genius. No one can take that away from you. You're born beautiful and intelligent. Nobody can take that away from you. You're part of the collective consciousness, right? You're part of, again, Einstein's mind, right? Beethoven's mind. It's the same mind. There's 7 billion brains on this earth. There's only one mind, right? You can take that with a grain of salt if you want, but but that's powerful.
And it's what you're telling yourself. What you have 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and most people are ruminating on just a few of them. Are those positive thoughts, or are those negative thoughts?
Are they pulling you down, or are they rising you up?
Right. And are you observing those thoughts and saying, that's interesting, I need to change that? Or are you putting yourself down? Are you, like what Mindy's saying, are you judging yourself on those thoughts? Completely different energy associated with both, right?
My good friend of mine said that everybody's a ship, and every ship has a captain and an anchor, right? So you got to understand that whether you're the anchor or you're the captain, whether you're driving your ship, right, or you're pulling yourself down, right? Remember that you're here to create. You are co-creator in this universe, the universe of you. And you have to know that you are, if you have been living your life programmed, right? Like if I told you that I'm going to take away your free will, I'm going to take away your voice. You're not going to like that too much, right? You're going to like, if I tied your hand and said, I'm going to take away your freedom, you're not going to like that too much, but you're already doing it, right?
Yeah.
You've been doing it all your life. Your program is running you. You're programmed. So don't get offense when someone says you need to be awakened, or you need to be woke, right? It's just saying, it's not even saying something to you, because you got to turn around and go, whoa, I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't know that was my action, right? I got to be aware. I got to be consciously aware of what I'm doing now, right? And that is, and I'll tell you one thing, once you start doing that, right? Because the cool thing is that this is not information that we are telling you that you don't already know. You already know all of this. You're just remembering all this stuff, all that your chitter chatter brain has created a nice little crusty scab over your beautiful insides, right? And you need to peel it back like layers of an onion. As Daryl said, that, most of the stuff, the sticky stuff inside of you, your adhesions, scar tissue, tumors, cancers, are your stinking thinking, right? And that's beautiful, because what if our negative thoughts needed to go somewhere? What if we needed a place to hang our negative thoughts on, right? And that's how we remember them. Well, I just got this nice little place here in my pocket. I got a nice little place over here, right? And years later, it's like, whoa, I got this big tumor in my pocket. You see what I'm saying? So what if our thoughts turn into things, and you are manifesting all the time, right? You are the cause of your effect. And in order to change that, and that's by law, the law of cause and effect. I didn't make it up. But in order to change that, right, you have to change who you're being. You have to change how you think, feel, and act. So how you think, feel, and act determines how other people think, feel, and act towards you.
Yeah, well, you are where you are because of the thoughts that you have of where you want to be. Yeah. So this is all really cool. It's amazing that we're learning this, where we can take this to the world, we can share it, we can help ourselves. But now let's just go back to you for a moment. This is all things that you learned in more recent years. So how would you have explained to you, the younger you,
as a bodybuilder,
who was in the gym, who was only able to push the weights by having a picture of horrible, horrible images, who was only in the feel of, it's the body, I'm building the body, and I'm going to help my clients that way. But what would you have said to you back then to get you to have the moment to go, oh, yeah.
I would have told myself that regardless of what I was doing, whether I was training, playing soccer, playing football, playing hockey, right, boxing, or just working at a desk, or being an artist, or being whatever I was doing, the one key thing is movement, right? Movement and the breath. So how the energetic aspect of your body is the most important part. When you have a quirk where you have a tightness in you, I would say to deal with it. And how I would tell you to deal with that is that once you disconnect to your breath, that's when the bad things start to happen, right? And so it's movement. You could call it yoga, you can call it whatever. It's just moving the body first. So what we did was we spent a lot of years crushing our body, right? It's like you gave me the keys to your Lamborghini and I just said, boom, right? Full, always pedal to the metal, always pedal was down. It was, and when you're doing that all the time, when you're crushing and not lengthening, right, then you're going to have a problem, right? When you're not connected to your breath, you're going to have a problem. And the cool thing about that conversation is where my worlds collided, right? It's not about the actual activity you're doing. It's about the kinetic chain or the stick man. And from the stick man, it's your breath, right? And it's how the energetic aspect of that. So in other words, you have energy centers in your body. They call them chakras, right? It's funny, they intersect, the base chakra intersects at the crisscross, right? Right where I lost my breath, right where that pelvis tilted. So instead of me putting my belt on and wrapping my knees, I was said, yo, stop here. Do not go past here until you get your breath back, right? And by connecting to your breath, right, you connect to another higher source, right? You're gonna not only do your physical construct good, but you're gonna do your mental construct good, because now you have a clear passage for your energy. And if what caused that tilt was a thought or a thing, it could be either, right? I'd have to be aware of that thought, be aware of what's stuck inside my body, be aware of where I kick the hose to allow myself to allow the energy to come through, so I can do greater things. Because what we created back then, we didn't have all the tools. But what I'm saying is that if we had all the tools, if we were told that here's the equation, physical, mental, spiritual, deal with the whole thing as a whole, right? Then, and go forward that way, that would make sense to me now, because my growth right now is through the roof. And I'm thinking the combination of the two would have been because there's no levels. There's no, I did that then and this is now, because energy can either be created or destroyed. The energy still flows through you now as it was yesterday, the day before that. It depends how many kinks you have in your hose. So
yeah. About, I like the way that you're putting that. And the whole purpose of the show is to rethink fitness, rethink the way that we're looking at things. That's why we're doing the show. We're live on YouTube and Facebook and Rumble and Telegram. And we're here to be able to get this message out further so that people truly understand that, there's two aspects to this on being fit, or how the fitness industry could be looking at things differently. It's the mental and emotional, that bringing that in, the whole body-mind connection. And it's the aspect of dealing with the things in your body that are creating inflammation in the body, that are creating the reason why there's not the proper flow of everything within to allow you to do the things that you want to do. All those thoughts, like you were saying, Ian, before, I have this negative thought, I'll put this here in my pocket. But those pockets are like in your body. Yeah. Those are the things that your body is doing to protect yourself by creating these little bubbles of, I'll call it energy in the body. Mm-hmm. And they may show up as all kinds of dis-ease or discomfort.
Symptoms.
Symptoms, right? But they're just that. And the inflammation there can be removed. The symptom can be removed, but it first has to start with where your mindset is at, right?
Yeah.
What you're thinking about. One of the things I'll let everyone who's watching this know, we're actually going to be doing a retreat in July where we're going to talk about all this stuff, you know, the human being, the human body, the human doing. And Ian's going to be coming down to participate in that and share his wisdom and lived experience. So any of you who want to take part in that, you know, visit the website rethinkfitness.today and you'll get some more information on that. Anything that you're thinking to ask Ian that I've taken the show?
No, you haven't, but I do have some questions in my head. So one of them is you said about the importance of connecting to your breath, and that would be the thing that you would teach your younger self to do. So it sounds like it's not like just, okay, remember to breathe. You actually had to do work to discover what was it and what did you discover? Like, how do you know you discovered it when you did? What did it feel like?
When I felt the most broken, I met the first instance was I met this young lady, Simone Reed, and she introduced me to Thai massage. And I said that I went in broken and she just unraveled me. And I'm going like, okay, my concept of what an injury is has changed forever. I felt like I had my spring back, but then eventually gravity, right? It comes back again, right? So from that point, I was on a quest. I felt like I had my breath back exactly the same, but I felt I lost it. So years and years, I've been proactive in getting treatments, acupuncture, deep tissue massage, right, weekly for years, right, and now doing breath work, right, and finding that this is all keeping me in stasis because I know what's important, right, and I will not go back to crushing my body until I reconnect the chain. So now I have a respect for the movement. I have respect for the connected chain. I have respect for that little tilt in the pelvis or the tilt in the shoulders or even your feet, right? How your feet hit the ground. We have our shoes, right? It brings our toes in. And I, for years, thought I had flat feet, right? But it's not the case. We all have perfect feet. Is that which the shoes we wear cause our instep to drop. And then we have knee problems. Then we have a hip operation. Then we have a back problem, right? And so that image that we had of us on stage, the balanced body, wasn't sustainable because we didn't take care of all the pillars. We didn't pay attention to how our feet land, our landing gear. If you were on a plane and you came over the loudspeaker, the captain said, by the way, we're going to be landing soon, but our landing gear is at 50% at best. Have fun. Have a nice day, right? You'd be a little worried, right? Your landing gear is your feet. They're like bricks hitting the ground. And we have our nice shoes that we wear, right? That eliminate our feet from doing all the things it's supposed to do. So from our feet, our hips, our knees are the cog. And then our shoulders, our head, our mindset. Okay? How we project our mind. And it's not from, just positive affirmations, right? That's not going to do it. Right? You gotta go a little bit deeper. Right? It's about identity. It's about who you are being, right? It's about training your body to emotionalize, to feel what it's like. So it is a bunch of different steps, but as I said, this journey is the only journey that you should be on. It's the one thing. The funny thing is that in the East, martial arts was known as the healing arts, right? So you were using it to heal, right? And then they taught a bunch of other stuff too. Over here, it's like fitness. It's like we're all little pieces of things, right? There's no commonality, and the commonality should be the fact that you are whole. You're not just a physical thing, right?
The common should be that people should start to focus on self-love. And I mean, I can't say that I'm fully there. I'm on that journey or I'm getting there. That's a place where people need to no, that's the goal. That's where you want to be. Because if you're in a state of self-love, it doesn't matter about all these other things out there. It doesn't matter about everything else. It's now focused on you. And that's not being selfish. That's being true to why you're here. But to get there, you have to override all this programming. You have to override all these things. Even when you're talking about, well, you thought you had flat feet. That's just a term. It's just a term like arthritis and diabetes and everything else. Those are just terms that somebody
syndromes and pets that we don't want to keep.
They're terms that someone's decided to place on something so that there could be some kind of revenue stream that's created from that choice of word. But if you just talk about it, you're not in alignment. You're not in a state of self-love.
It allows us to feel like to have a word that we can use and go as an excuse. I have flat feet, right? I have carpal tunnel. I have this. I have that, right? And so it's like, well, it's like it's when you understand that you are energy having a human experience. These are all just experiences, right? And you are meant for the full expression of yourself, right? You're meant to move. You're not, so when we get older, we start to move like a board, right? We get stiff, right? And I honestly believe that part of aging is suffocation, right? As we get older, we have more adhesions and scar tissue in the body and shallow breathing, right? And we start to curl up and we start to move very linear and our feet hit the ground really hard, right? So it's like the first thing is we gotta move. We gotta get back to that. We gotta get back to our breath. We gotta get back to lengthening our body. We gotta understand that first of all, that you are only a little bit matter, okay? And a lot of energy. So if I'm looking at matter and my thoughts are low vibrational, ash to ashes, dust to dust, you eventually will decay. A lot of thermodynamics says that everything in matter eventually decays, right? But you're more energy than matter. So what are you looking at? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Am I looking this way? Am I looking this way? I'm looking at energy, right? Which can never be created or destroyed, or I'm looking at matter which will eventually decay one day.
Yeah, right? I'll take that further. I mean, this is even now scientifically proven for those that need to have science as a measuring stick. But I would say we all are just energy, just vibration, just frequency. And the only time that it's recognized into matter is when there's an observer, when it's actually being observed. So if at every moment you are energy, vibration, frequency, well, then you get to choose what you're going to want to look like, what you're going to want to be, what your status is as far as your wealth level, your happiness level, your physique level, your mental and emotional level. You get to choose. It's easy to say that. It's a really, really big concept for people to get their mind around, that they are the creator. Every person has that power within them to be whatever it is that they want to be. But you have to, not but, because but's the wrong thing to say.
You have to.
Say but indicates everything before. That's why Jeff said that.
Yeah, neurolinguistics. I mean, the words that people, even just on that basis, the words that people use is such a strong foundation to who they are being. Because on an unconscious level, they're saying things out loud
but to themselves,
serve them,
or in their head.
Right. So if they're saying it out loud, can you imagine how many times they're saying it inside their head? 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day. Like add that up. That's a lot. You can't even sit and add those numbers up to come up to 60,000. That will take you all day to do that. That's what's happening in your head. And most of the time, people are only holding a very, very few amount of thoughts in their conscious awareness. And those thoughts aren't positive. So imagine how many that they're not consciously aware of are driving them. But I take it further from what you're saying is at every moment you are creating. You are the creator. So
if your thoughts are high vibrational thoughts like love and above, right? Think about that for a second. Or your thoughts are doubt, worry, fear, guilt, shame, blame. These are low vibrations, right? And so if we're talking about we are vibrational, right? And that these are low vibrations, that if your thoughts of self-love and of joy and abundance, right? Which is what you actually are, because you're forward, you're the higher part, you're the love and above, right? Then your life will change. Once you start with that, your life will change. It will never be the same again.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, it's the thoughts you're having. It's the food that you're putting into your mouth. Is it high vibrational food or is it dead food? You know, what is it that you're putting into your body? Because that's all going to help elevate your vibrational level. I see Joanne, so glad that you joined in. You said we need to hear more of this in the balance one needs for longevity. Absolutely. Yeah. It's time, Joanne and Ryan and Mark and Satchel and everyone else who's out there, Lori, that people start to recognize that the power is inside each one of us.
Yeah.
And you know, yes, the show is called Rethink Fitness, and that's what the movement is about. But it's rethinking every aspect of the way that you're living your daily life, right?
Mm-hmm. It's also just another point on that for anyone who feels uncomfortable or who like shuns the whole idea of self-love. Look within, because that's your sign that you're missing it, and now it's time for you to get it.
And remember, these programs, it's not your fault. It's not your parents' fault or whoever raised you. These are just programs. They got the same programs from their parents, the people who love them, who are just trying to provide the best opportunity. And they got it from the people before them and the people before them.
And society.
And everything else.
Teachers.
And like you were saying, Ian, you know, 0 to 7, you're just a sponge. You're just absorbing everything. There's no filter. There's just the absorption of everything from people around you who love you, who are doing the best that they can.
All they know,
running off the same faulty program. Like it's time to change the software. Like if everyone who's watching, you're watching this obviously on some kind of electronic device. Well, what if you tried to open up this device and tried to run it with like Windows 98? You know, something that's
that would
that would not be fun at all.
I remember those days.
You wouldn't even be able to watch this. You would have no idea of what this is all about. And our universe, everything that's around us, we're only seeing a teeny fraction of actually what's out there.
Yeah.
So imagine operating every day on that old software that isn't even aware of what's happening today's time. When someone falls into a program and reacts, not responds, but reacts, it's just a program.
It's automatic.
It's automatic. It's your brain's way of conserving energy. So just like you don't have to learn to brush your teeth every day, well, you don't need to learn how to respond to somebody who says XYZ about you or calls you something that you don't like. It's just happening. So imagine that you're operating from this program that is so far outdated. And if you just pause,
time for an upgrade.
Get into your breath. Pause, like Daryl says, get into the eternal present moment and change the way that you're thinking and being and get into a state of self-love. That program that's been operating you can be rewritten.
Because then you choose your response instead of having the reactionary reply.
Yeah, it changes.
It's funny that whenever Apple calls, right, for the next phone, the next upgrade, we are lined up around the mall. But when last have you had an upgrade, right? If what we're talking about is correct and that you are the cause and effect of your world that's around you, and the change is not going from the outcome you want or the process you're talking about. In order to change, you have to change your identity, how you see yourself, and how you see yourself. You got to bask it in self-love, to love yourself because you didn't get the love before when you were a child, right? And you have to, that's how you fix your programming, right? And then you become, you create your world from the inside out. I don't care. You could be the bodybuilder, you could be the performer, you could be the next prime minister, right? You could be, you know, a peak performer, whatever that is you want to manifest, right? It could be the better body, right? Or it could be whatever, but that's the tool. That's the thing. And that's what all we're saying is that fitness was again, like using your computer like a typewriter, right? It was a powerful tool to learn, but we got to learn all of it. And when you learn all of it, you have the choice to use it for this or that or the other thing, but your life will be different. And what you want to achieve in life, you will start to manifest what you truly want, right? This is where the tire hits the pavement. This is where you make the change. This is where change comes from, right? For over 35 years, I was doing from the outside in. I was changing their external to try to change their internal. Nope. Until I changed the inside out, until I was able to change their identity, nothing is permanent, right?
Yep. Well, and all these things sound great. The first thing that people need to do is take that first step. Like, you need to take that first action, whatever that's going to be, whether it's a small incremental step or something bigger. We were talking about something to help people connect to their heart before. Do you want to share more about that?
If I knew what you were referring to. Okay, yeah. So a way to help you get in touch with your heart that might be easy for a lot of people is actually an action step that I would like to issue for the show, and that's to do a heart hunt. So imagine, now use your imagination, that anytime you go out, you're going to be able to find a heart somewhere. Or during the week, you'll find something. It could be in the clouds, it could be in the trees, it could be a rock, it could be a stone, it can be spit on the sidewalk. It doesn't matter. But yeah, okay, it may be a little gross, but still,
you went too far, Mindy.
Yeah, perhaps. But if you do find that spit on the sidewalk in the shape of a heart, now you're going to be happy because we just talked about it here. So
grossed out and happy. Yes.
So my action step for people is to actually go out and look for that heart. And when you see that heart, because it's representative of love, put your hands to your heart and see if you can actually conjure up that emotion, or you can feel that emotion. Put a smile on your face, even if you're just turning a frown upside down. And it actually does wonders for the way you feel. And what I would like you to do is take a picture of it, or you could do a video and share a story, and then put it on right here and tag it Heart Hunt, so that Ian and Jeff and I and everyone from the Rethink Fitness who's interested, we can all see it. And it could be a really fun movement to see how many hearts we can all find, and also how it also makes us feel good. Because
it's taking that first step. And there's a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, which is small incremental changes. Sometimes say you need to practice self-love, and you have to be in a state of self-love. That may be too big of a step for someone to take. But what Mindy's saying is go out and do that, because it's going to automatically connect you to your heart. And when you touch something of your body, your thoughts go directly there. So put your hand on your heart when you're seeing that. Mindy sees it all the time. I'll start. I'll place some images here. Yeah, and tag us. I see it probably every day, maybe 2 or 3 times now. Yeah, everyone in the Rethink Fit world, the Braveheart world, do something like this so that it elevates your vibration. That's what you're trying to do. And I'm not going to say trying. That's what you need to do so that you can be in a state of self-love. But sometimes there's a little bit of a process to get there, and that's okay. It's okay if you don't get there right away. It's okay if you can't find the heart because you have some stumbling block that you need to get past. Just be aware of that. Don't judge yourself, and go in and do something. Ian, your turn. Is there some kind of action step that somebody can take where they can find and have some kind of notable gain that they can do and then they could share as well?
I think mine's around habits, because I think that's one of the things is being aware, right? And I did an exercise the other day. It was to maybe make a list of 10 to 20 habits, and then that you just being aware of, and put a minus beside the ones you want to eliminate, put a plus beside the good ones, and put an equal sign on the ones that are just neutral on. And that way, by doing that, you're making a decision to start becoming consciously aware of your habits that are running in the background. And at that point, you're going to start to look at it with curiosity and not with judgment. And so for me, that's a good first step is when it comes to being aware of what's going on in the background, so you can make some really good decisions, right? Because that's where everything changes. When you make a decision for change, right, is either doubt, worry, fear, dis-ease, disintegration, or it's knowing, it's faith, it's ease, right? It's creation. So it's a decision. And once you make a decision and you're constantly aware, that's where you're going to see some changes in your life and for everybody around you, 100%. And you won't go back until you will not go back.
What hashtag should they use when they share their ahas or their experience?
Well, my website is Best Life Coaching, right? I don't know, maybe you could hashtag Best Life -coaching.
Can you even do a hat?
I think they can tag you on
Yeah.
your at Ian Walling, and then maybe a hashtag specific for this could be something like habit hacker or something like that. Like that? Habit hacker.
So I'm good. Whatever works. I think that we're here for is, again, when you said earlier, is that the fitness industry is broken. It's not broken, right? Because we're not looking at our life in the fitness world as we made a mistake. That wasn't a mistake. It was part of our process, right? And so it's just part of the journey, and it's evolving. So it's the evolution of fitness to wellness, right? So I feel better about that, because we want to, again, use words that are positive, and we don't want to blame and shame anybody for doing what they're doing. Because listen, you couldn't have told me that like 35, 40 years ago, right? You know, I came in and I found my peeps. I found my world, right? But no one gave me a manual, right? I just hit the pedal to the metal, and that was it, right? Bigger, better, massive, best, right? So it's this is part of our learning. This is part of our journey, right? This is our what we call road to wellness.
I like that. And even what you said, you know, when we started way back when we started the natural fitness movement, we launched it with the slogan, join the next evolution of fitness. And that's what we're doing now. We're creating that manual together with you, together with Dr. Darrell Wolf, together with some others. We're creating that manual so that people have a guide map. And we're on that journey, and we're learning. We're participating right now in a whole life coach that is teaching all this. And of course, and Dr. Darrell Wolf has that happening again in June down here in Ixtapa. And I can't say, like Mindy said, how awesome it is, because what you said multiple times, Ian, we didn't have the guidebook. We didn't have the manual. We were given, like you've said many times, we were given the keys to the Ferrari. And in addition to us being underage and not even being able to see over the steering wheel, we have no idea how to operate that. Yeah. And it's an amazing machine. What we have here, this body that we're having to have our experiences here on planet Earth, or this Earth School, or whatever you want to call it, without having the rule book on how to play the game, means that you're just living with a program that other people are telling you to do. And you're following the rest of the 80 or 90% or more that are just following that program. Our goal is to help people break through that and see that there is something different. And there is a way that everybody can feel happy and be in love with themselves and treat every day like it's a miracle for them.
And so, even if they don't believe what we're saying, Jeff, and they actually do the work, like don't just point fingers, do the work. Once you start to understand what mind is and the non-physical aspect of you is, right, you will never be the same. And again, it's not about Jeff, me, you, Mindy. This is a you thing. This is a you unpacking you. This is called the University of You, right? Once you get out of school, you figure your learning is done. Oh my God, right? Once you turn inward, there's so much, like Your life is not, it's not about the hustle. It's not about the hustle. It's not about the grind. It's not about everything. It's opposite. That's what they want you to think, right? When you start to understand this, right? Life is much easier. You're going to use a tool that you've always had. And when you start using that tool, right, your life will be different. And you will start to manifest what you truly want in life and not what you don't want.
Absolutely. Just like Lori here, what you're saying, it doesn't matter what the doctors say to you. Those are all just words that are being used to describe a symptom of being out of alignment, in inflammation. And it's about getting into that state of self-care and self-love, and being able to change the way that you're looking at things. That's one of my favorite quotes. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
And they do. It's true. That's why it's a quote, I guess.
That is why it's a quote. Ian, as we're getting close to wrapping up the show, what have, I'm trying to think of what the question was. I had it. I just lost it. Do you have something?
To recap the action steps. That for Ian's action step. So anyone who actually tracks your habits and you notice that where you're at, and let Ian know. Better yet, if you actually make a change and you decide to change the lower vibrational habits that are pulling you down, tell your story. Let Ian know. You can use the hashtag habit tracker, and you can also tag Best Life Coaching. Was that what it was called, Ian?
Best Life, Best Life hyphen coaching.
Best Life hyphen coaching.
Oh, 10 hyphen. So just say Best Life Coaching. Sorry. Just say
okay.
So
Best Life Coaching, because the reason why I want them to use also habit tracker is because you're going to be on the show multiple times and you'll have different action steps each time. So this way to identify.
And one thing I want to add to that too, sometimes it's like shaking up it could be you brush your teeth with your right hand and you're going to brush your teeth with your left hand, right? And it's because when you start to shake up the program, right, you start to becoming more aware. Remember, why do you brush your teeth with your right hand? Because you're a righty. So what if you shake it and you became a lefty and you started brushing with your left hand? It's the identity. It's when you start to tag your identity to something, that's when you start making a change. It could be, your cold showers, whatever it is, right? You're adding in, you're disrupting the program. Well, when I take my cold showers in the morning, I don't want to do it, right? I'm programmed to not do it, to be warm, right? But I shift the program. I always shift the program. So whatever it is that is gonna help you to make those changes, to become more consciously aware, do. That's it.
It's amazing. And then let Ian know your story so that maybe he wants to share your story or even invite you on as a guest for this show.
Yeah, Ian, there's so much that we could talk about.
And there will be
more that we talk about.
Yeah.
Ian, that you're planning to come down here one day
soon.
Because we're going to be doing a retreat.
My wife and I are planning to come down. Bina is also a brilliant coach also too. So it's interesting because this is all part of our growth. And as we came here to help people become the best version of themselves, we owe it to speak it because that's what we're here for. And so as we learn and we because that's what we're here for. And so as we learn and we apply to ourselves and we grow, we share, right? So it becomes win-win. I can't see how that could be a wrong thing.
It is only a right thing. You know, we started with that whole, the next evolution in fitness, and we started with the body because that's what we knew. That's what we knew at the time. We did the best that we were able to. And look, collectively, with all the people who joined in to get that movement going, we impacted millions and millions of lives. We did things all around the world. Well, we're doing that again. We're doing it differently now. We're now sharing what we now know
with a blueprint,
are still learning, so that more people have that ability to see that they can step up into a state of happiness and self-love and just enjoy life, instead of just, when you ask people how you do it, okay, or I'm just getting by.
Not bad.
Not bad. I'm not bad. I'm not bad. It's already, even in just the language that they're using, they're negatively impacting themselves. But what if you ask them how you do, and they said, amazing. I'm fantastic.
What I love about what I do now is I get people to dream again. And I just, the look on their face after a couple sessions, right, where they start to become creative in their vision. And from that point, there's like this internal glow in their face, right? They've gone from, you know, wanting to just drive off the bridge, just keep driving, right? Just, you know, what's your passion? I've never even heard that word before, right? To the point where they start to find a vision. Remember, it's not easy. Like the person said earlier, who mentioned, it's not easy because you're wired backwards. You're wired to drive down the highway looking in your rearview mirror, right? You're wired to be in safety, right? And that's your programming. You push the button, you push on, did what it's supposed to do, right? Now you have to unpack it. You have to unpack and become aware, right? And that's where you're going to start making changes.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to thank, or we both like to thank, all the brave hearts out there who've been tuning in.
Thanks, brave hearts.
Everyone who's tuned in on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble and Telegram and everything else. Thanks for joining in the show. We are live every Monday at noon Central Time. And Ian, we're going to if anyone has questions, you know, put them in the comments. We'll get to it. Ian will get to it. And take those action steps. The habit tracker that Ian talked about, the heart hunt that Mindy talked about, and
double points if you find a heart respite.
Yeah, and let us know what excites you. Let us know what gets you to make a shift and what that shift is, so that you can share it with everybody else. Thanks everyone who participated today. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. And
thanks,
we'll
Ryan.
see you
Thanks,
all.
Denise.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you all very soon. And if you want to take your journey even further, come down here to Ixtapa, Mexico. We're going to be having a retreat with Ian in July. There are courses that Dr. Darrell Wolf is hosting. There's another whole series starting back up in June. And these are things that are life-changing,
life-enhancing,
eye-opening. And I think once you hear the wisdom and the insights and the information shared, you will never look at yourself or the world the same again.
Or you'll never feel the same.
You'll never feel the same. Yeah. So thanks again for joining us on Rethink Fitness, and with today's guest of Ian Walling. Thanks, everyone.
Namaste, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.